Well, the Fargo Police Department is launching a new resource for reporting crimes to help the police prioritize active situations from complaints with less urgency. And Police Chief David Cebulski is joining me today. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so your new system, which people refer to as DOORS, but Desk Officer Reporting System, or just the reporting system. Sure. What is that?
So it's an opportunity for people to report certain crimes online as opposed to waiting for an officer to respond. And these would be considered low-level, low-priority type crimes, things that aren't in progress, the suspect's not known, and there's no other evidence to collect. So a lot of our shoplifting complaints, thefts from vehicles, and similar thefts, illegal dumping, things of that nature that we otherwise send an officer to, and it's really more about taking the report and then trying to connect the dots from there. So it provides a little more efficiencies for everybody.
And there's a lot of things that are, you and I had discussed, some things are just a formality. Sometimes you need to have the police report for insurance or for your job, you just have to make sure it's tracked. So those are kind of like the lower level, maybe non-urgent things. What would you still encourage people, like, look, if this is happening, call 911, they can handle it right away?
Sure. Yeah, our priority one calls, life safety issues. If something is going on in progress and you're witnessing it and you see the suspect and you've got a description or someone's safety is in jeopardy, we're going to respond to those calls right away. And what we're trying to do is really free up time to concentrate on those calls as well as more proactive enforcement and engagement for our officers. So as we progress as a department, this technology is in use in hundreds of departments across the United States. So it's a tool that helps us and it also helps the community. So for a lot of these offenses, people can report them at their leisure. They don't have to wait for us. They could go to work and do it later in the evening if they want. We encourage people to keep track of their serial numbers for your bicycles, your expensive tools, things that may get stolen, and on the online system you can enter that serial number in. We can get that entered into the system, so even if we stop someone later with your property, we can run the serial number, connect that dot to that particular person, and there's still an investigation, potential arrest, and so the likelihood of clearance is no less doing it in an online fashion.
Well, that's interesting because that kind of creates for you a database. I'm sure there are sometimes you have situations where you find somebody who has a lot of possessions with them and you don't always know who they belong to.
Right.
So this would be a really cool way to track that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've had a lot of instances where we stop a car with a lot of what we likely assume is stolen property and we can't connect it to anybody.
Yeah.
So this would certainly help us as well.
And I imagine probably just because of the features of technology nowadays, you can probably even search people that have already made reports in the system, like missing a bike, and you can be like, oh, filter by bikes, and make your life easier.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we can do with kind of analysis now.
That's really cool. So, one issue that we're seeing across the country, not just police departments, but literally every single industry, is a shortage of workers. And I know you guys are working tirelessly to hire new officers, get them trained in. But I imagine this opens up a little bit of bandwidth for the officers that you have. Yeah,
I mean, we need to create efficiencies in our department to help the officers, and calls and things like that haven't really been looked at in a long time. I mean, there's even calls that, frankly, we are sent to that are not law enforcement related at all. That are, there's no threat or safety issue, but it's someone calling about someone else's activities that don't involve the police, or should be referred maybe to social services or an attorney if it's a civil matter and no one's being threatened or there's no harm being done. And traditionally, those calls come in and we get sent and we go to them. And that's another analysis that we have to do. We've got to free up our officers and we have to kind of take control of our resources and prioritize them towards public safety, towards law enforcement related issues, and also create that proactive time for the officers so we can deal with community engagement and traffic enforcement and things like that.
So being that this is obviously technology that anybody can access, what are the best ways for them to access it? Obviously on a computer.
Sure. Actually, it's accessible from any format. So if you call dispatch and you report a crime that would fall within the online requirements, they'll give you a quick connect number. So from your phone, you can call that number. You will get a mobile app to report it there. You can do it on your iPad or your computer. You can go to the department website and go to the online reporting, the DOORS online reporting system. You could stop into our lobby. We'll have a kiosk there with a computer so that you could come in and report the crime there as well.
And now this launches March 28th.
March 28th, yes.
Fantastic. So we'll make sure to kind of keep on top of this. I think it's a really neat program. I'm interested to hear kind of down the road, maybe 6 months or so, what the results are. If you're saying like, hey, it freed up us, freed up our officers a lot of time
Sure.
to do important things and get
Well, I
out
can
there
tell
and
you, looking at
serve.
last year's numbers, it was about 6,500 calls that we would have eliminated.
Wow.
And I think that could likely grow as we continue to expand.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Chief David Cebulski, thank you again
Thank you.
for joining. We always love this on Fridays because we just appreciate our law
It's
enforcement.
the end of the week.
Yay, end of the week. He's bringing donuts next time. So. All right, coming up on today's show, if you have kids in sports, here's a stark reminder that even a slight injury to your head can become a traumatic brain injury. We'll have Apex Physical Therapy on next to discuss.